Que lo que, mi gente? Welcome to the Monoplaza F1 podcast. As always, I'm your host, Emi Bertre. And this time, I am joined again by Didier and Leighanie Diaz. How are you? Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming on this podcast with me so we can talk about everything but F1. I'm joking. That's a terrible joke. All right. Okay, so let's get it started. Miami. It was a sprint and a regular GP. And it's over. I will say this, admittedly, it is not my favorite track, but let's see. What was y'all's overall impression of the race? Obviously, it's exciting because Max Verstappen didn't win. I said what I said. I stand by that. Lando Norris' first win. So that was also pretty exciting. But yeah, what was the impression? How was that race for y'all?
For me, I really enjoyed it. I was there in person, which was awesome. So that probably adds a little bit to bias. But I thought it was really fun. I thought it was one of the more fun race weekends of the season so far. I think I'm excited to see where Miami can be 10 years from now. Because I think it's still, it's year 3, right? So it's already, there's been changes year after year. And I think it can really only go up because first year was rough all around, and I think F1, it's hard for anything new in F1 in general. So
now you have a bit of an advantage over all of us. For those who don't know, because none of you do unless you're stalking her. Leighanie, you worked the first 2 years of the Miami GP, and
I did.
This year you got to go and be an attendant, right?
Yeah.
So I guess from working it to now, has it been improving, or is it like it's the same but different?
No, I when I say I genuinely think it's improved, I do mean that. And I even my role. So first year I worked, and it was more of I was like an executive assistant, and I was working directly out of race control. So that was a lot of
Oh, excuse me.
So that was a lot of
She said race control.
a lot more serious, if that's it. A lot less fun, a lot more serious.
Okay.
You know, because you're dealing with
race control,
high stakes, and yeah. So cool, so cool, and everyone there is so nice. But
well, okay, all right. And then Didi, I guess what? So you and I are spectators, Didi. Like we're on TV. We're the poors.
I'm just trying to process the fact that had Charlie Whiting not died, she would have been with Charlie Whiting in the race control, like hanging out.
Really?
And if Michael Massey wasn't a crook, she probably would have been in the room with Michael Massey too. That is blowing my mind. Anyway, I did not know this, so I'm just being bombarded right now with information. No, I thought I thought the race was probably the best Miami Grand Prix we've had. The track, the conditions were consistent. It never rained, which was weird. And the track surface,
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, exactly. But the track surface for being in Miami, I don't know, if in your short times in Miami, but like if it's not new asphalt in Miami, if you step on regular asphalt barefoot, your feet are gonna hurt. Because those little pebbles, they just come to the surface, okay? And for being in Miami, that track surface is smooth, okay? Which extended the life of some stints. It did a lot of weird things to some cars, and it proved to be the crux for Mr. Verstappen, which you like to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah,
we love to
see it.
No hate,
I speak for everyone.
To see it.
No, I mean, okay, so here's the thing, admittedly, and I'm saying this knowing both of y'all can claim Miami because that's your spot. To me, it is the weirdest track on the circuit. And I will also say, admittedly, it's not my favorite one because I don't like street courses. Baku being the exception, right? But it feels like they turn a parking lot or part of a parking lot into part of the track. And then so
it's Sochi, but in Miami, because Sochi was built around an Olympic Park, and it's Sochi, but in Miami. But Miami has Miami, and Miami's Miami, and Russia's Russia. No offense to my Russians,
Sure.
but like you can't compare the two. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Different.
but what I'm saying is, so I'm saying, okay, so you're both Miami natives, right? And the thing that's like also weird for me, by the way, is like, I don't know how they did this, but the highways overlooking the track itself, no
That's the
cars.
turnpike, my man. That is Florida's
That's the turnpike.
Turnpike. That's right.
Turnpike.
But I just imagine like how traffic was backed up, and all the people who were not fans of F1 were probably like,
annoyed.
all right, yeah.
I mean,
so like,
yeah.
All right, so okay, so track aside, I'm gonna go ahead and say both of y'all thought, I'm in this camp. Both of y'all thought the actual race this year was a lot better than in years past. I think last year Verstappen won by 26.
Near as makes no difference.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm saying he started in 9th, and no one was surprised when he passed Checo Pérez, and off he went to the next track.
And Checo
went all the way down 95 to Orlando.
And Checo tried to
So this year was.
Checo was going some madness. Some madness.
Checo. So all right. So let's split it into two. Right. So it was a sprint weekend. So let's talk about first the sprint. What did y'all think about the sprint? And I guess let me start by saying I actually hate sprints. All right. Like at least at least this year they've changed the rules. So you go to the sprint, you're not in parc ferme anymore. And apologies to you, Didier, because I know I'm not saying
parc
that
ferme, my correctly. Man. Come on, dog.
See, you see that? Okay,
there's an accent on there.
That's right.
You know what? There's an accent on my last name too, but people just say Belcher. Anyways, and so I think the good thing is, I guess, about sprints is that now after you get done with the sprint, 19 laps, you can go back and make some changes to your car, and then there's like qualifying. What I can't believe I'm saying this. What I do kind of miss was sprint order determines the start
race.
Of the
race,
GP.
Race order.
So I kind of wish like they had kept that, but allowed them to make like changes to the car.
Yeah.
Or
the stakes don't feel as high.
Yeah. You also, I mean, maybe points, not as much anymore.
Yeah. I feel like
okay, sure. It's for points, but let's back it up a little bit. Because prior to this weekend and Lando not winning, a lot of Lando Norris fans, don't come for me in the comment, all three of you that are watching this podcast, were saying that Oscar Piastri's win didn't really count as a win because all he got was a participation plaque that said he won, right? And so I'm like...
The last McLaren win was Daniel Ricciardo at Monza. That's...
Okay, fine.
That's
So then, if that is the case, why are we having sprints? I hate them. I hate them so much. Anyways, it's but what was y'all's impression? I guess
it's blatant capitalism, bro. It's saying, look, we have this cash cow.
Fully.
How can we make more money off of this by getting people to tune in on Saturday? Because look, man, F1 has had a problem historically with qualifying because back in the days, I'm talking like 96, 97,
back
2003, 2004, drivers they had an hour to qualify, and they had 12 laps they could do, but you didn't have to do all of them. So what they would do is, with 10 minutes left, everyone would get onto the track and try to set a fast lap. It created traffic, but the real problem was
crazy.
You would tune in to the TV to watch Formula 1 qualifying, and nothing happened for 45 minutes. So then they had to introduce Q1, Q2, Q3, and there's other iterations of qualifying that were in there somewhere. But Q1, Q2, Q3 made it so that people would tune in through the whole session because there were some stakes at the beginning, middle, and end. And this is just an extension of that kind of philosophy, adding sprints to get more money, more people watching, and get more people involved in the spectacle. And it's a necessary evil because of capitalism. I said what I said.
All right.
So what is it? Lewis said, "Cash is king."
Yeah,
cash is king, and that was during a global pandemic.
That's it.
All right. So Didi, I'm going to put you in the camp of you hate sprints. Leighanie, do you?
I'm indifferent.
Yeah, I'm actually indifferent.
Bother me. Yeah, they don't bother me. I think they're necessary? No, I really don't. Am I mad about watching more racing? No.
So, I mean, it's like a little appetizer.
It's
I guess.
Appetizer.
Like, I don't take it as serious. In 30 minutes.
I don't take it as serious, and I'm less pressed to miss a sprint than I am a race.
All right, so race. you don't take it serious, but
less serious.
Some people, okay, I don't regard them at all. So that's actually a step above me. Less but the question then would be, let's talk about turn 1. Lewis goes on, takes the gap, right? Yeah. And he gets all the flack for what Papi Stroll's firstborn child did. Yeah. Right? Which was he terrorized his own teammate, right? So now Alonso's like, crashes into Lewis, kind of, which then ends up taking Lando out of the race. Alonso is now out of the race. And then post-race, Lewis is, hey, I saw the gap. I went for it. I'm good. In my opinion, and as an unabashed Lewis Hamilton fan, whatever, when I look at the replay, I see Lance Stroll, future Wimbledon entrant, crash into his own freaking teammate, and that caused the incident. So both of y'all who know more about F1 than me, when you see that replay, so I'm just starting there, Lewis's fault, or was it Lance Stroll's fault?
I'm actually just watching the replay. I think the order that you have is actually a little bit wrong. It was actually Hamilton on the inside, Alonso, Lance, and then Lando on the outside. And what ended up happening was
who tapped who first?
Spooked Fernando. Fernando lost control of his car Fernando's just a little bit and hit Lance. And I at first everybody was like, Lance, and then I realized like this was actually Fernando's fault. But it wasn't something because
don't let anybody in Spain hear you, dog. They're gonna be in your.
I know.
Careful.
But the thing about Fernando is that this is very out of character for him. Fernando is actually extremely spatially aware of where he's putting his car. It's you'll see it when in his starts. He'll start jiggling the steering wheel, just trying to figure out like what's the feeling in the tires, what's the car doing, and then he has confidence going to turn 1. I think Lewis spooked the heck out of him.
He's a master, yeah.
And I think Lewis spooked the heck out of him. And Lewis was being aggressive, which is, let's be fair, not something Lewis is known for in his older years. Lewis was being very aggressive, and I liked it. I enjoyed that, and it was a cascade effect. And with Lando out of the race, that was masking a lot of the plot line for Sunday. Quite a bit, I would say, in hindsight. Correct. The one thing that I will say about the qualifying was how Lando set a lap in sprint qualifying on mediums that was only bested by Max and Charles the next day by like 0.05 of a second on softs. That was another massive clue to what we were going to see the next day, but I didn't. It was hiding in plain sight, if you will.
There was so much. There was so much going on.
All right, so I'll take it back. So no, I don't take it back. Leighanie. So then who? So Leighanie, is that Lewis being aggressive? Which I'm going to go back. Why do you say in Lewis's old age?
Because Lewis. I say that because Lewis has had an F1 career. You know that now is. We're about to hit we're in year, what is it, 17? Like, hey, he's had 18, a high schooler. 18. In 18, yeah, he's had a high schooler in career now. Yeah. And so, like, I would say he's in his later stages. Because the thing is, like, aggressive Lewis was McLaren Lewis. That was, like, the lion of Stevenage. Okay, and but we haven't seen that guy recently because he's always thinking about a championship, the big picture championship. I'm not going to crash into Max because a championship. But now he's like, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to drive the wheels off of this car. What happens?
I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to go for it. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Car is generous, by the way, if you can call the W15 that. Anyway, so Leighanie, what did you think?
I agree. I think Lewis. My first thought was to say he was a bit messy with it, and I that's not a very kind term, but I think he was, or he was a bit not as cautious, not his usual cautious self. And I do agree. I think Alonso was spooked. He reacted, and it was a chain effect.
So the only thing that was kind of like womp womp on Alonso afterwards was his whole spiel about, I don't know if I'm going to get a penalty, but I probably am because I'm Spanish.
Because I'm Spanish.
And so,
What
like,
he
this is
means
what
is
I was
he's not English, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody understood the meaning, but like, this is what I was telling y'all before we started recording. Like, as a Dominican, my literal phrase, because I've heard it, and this is where Carlos Sainz, if you speak Spanish, you understood why Carlos Sainz said stop inventing.
Don't
right?
invent.
No, yeah.
And because when Alonso said that foolishness, I was like, loco, they'll inventar, loco. I was like, come on, bro. Like,
be so that, please.
And then I'll take it a step further with Sainz the next day during the race on the radio with the terrorism of Piastri, apparently. Oh, get on the radio. Yeah. No, you need to tell him to give me the
He's
I was like,
having
bro,
a little freak out.
bro, if you don't shut the heck up.
Yeah, I thought
anyways, all right. And so
Carlos really, like, that was not his best weekend at all.
No,
he struggled, and
sad
like
to see too.
Yeah, because he had his mojo, but I have it written down in my notes. Charles has his Carlos mojo back.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so Tifosi,
sorry,
I would say this. So Leighanie, this is something that I told Didier, and I think Didier, you agree with this. Getting a little off track, I don't care. It's my podcast. But I would say that when I look at Carlos Sainz and I look at Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz has been putting in that work. I don't think anybody can question his pedigree and what he's built up.
Yeah.
But you put Charles Leclerc behind the car, and I will take the magic that Charles Leclerc will give me, and that is more exciting. And I feel like his upside is so much higher than Carlos Sainz, right? Like, yeah, he's got to have like that car in the perfect window, but I'm like,
no, there's a magic to it, but it's also the Charles Ferrari effect. He's predestinato, like he is the one, right? For Tifosi, at least, for right now. And so there's always that backing behind it. Whereas Carlos is also a bit older. We've seen him drive for other teams, so it's a bit different. I think there's a lot more riding on Charles and Ferrari in that relationship than there is Carlos Ferrari. Even though it's really fun, and I love that they're both driving for Ferrari, and I love their dynamic, and I love what Carlos has done for Ferrari. Or with Ferrari, I should say.
Yeah,
look,
there's something about the Charles.
I've been watching F1 for 30 years, and I've only openly wept 3 times. Okay, and the first time was when Michael Schumacher did some madness. He got into an accident. It was his fault, and he was crazy, and I was so sad. Second time was when Michael Schumacher won his first title with Ferrari. But the third time was when Charles crossed the line at Monza in 2019. I was weeping.
Won in Spa, wins in Monza. Weeping.
Girl!
The entire nation.
I knew y'all were going to say that.
Still.
God.
Okay, all right. Hey.
Wow.
Pull it back. All right. So, sorry. Real quick. Talk about sprint. So, sprint, Alonso's out. Norris is out. Yeah. Verstappen does what Verstappen does. Yeah. Full stop. In the middle of the race, I think the theme of this weekend for me was, I got to somehow bring Lewis Hamilton into this, was the fact that he drove that tractor the way he did. And we saw the continuation of Kevin Magnussen, the terrorist, in terms of, and honestly, I'm not even going to hate. Like, Magnussen is exposing a loophole like billionaires expose tax loopholes, right? He said, you're going to keep giving me these penalties. Yep. Cool. I'm not going to win this race. Cool. You're not going to show me a black flag. Cool. Then I'm going to help out Nico Hülkenberg, which given their history is hilarious, obviously. But as somebody who follows Mercedes, but particularly Lewis Hamilton, I guess, the fact that the Haas was giving the Mercedes that
the business
or that many problems on the overtake. Oh my!
Tough to watch. Yeah.
I mean, not if you're a Mercedes fan, sure, but like again, I've just taken that he's not gonna be there next year. I'm gonna be with y'all next year. I'm gonna bring that. Yeah, that's right. Everybody who's watching.
Yeah.
I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan first. Stimmers. All right. So, okay. Overall, just to wrap it up, because I do want to talk about like the actual race of the sprint. Like Leighanie, you said, it's like it's racing. It's not whatever. Was this a decent sprint race? As sprint races go, is Miami a
there
good
was action?
Okay, is Miami a good track for a sprint race?
3 DRS zones where the DRS is strong, and Danny Rick still stayed in 4th. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, we forgot about that storyline because of 18th in qualifying.
Yeah,
but like
because
Danny,
how it ended.
Yeah, keeping a Ferrari behind him. Have we talked about that? I mean, the one thing about sprint qualifying or sprint races is that
incredible.
Yeah, it gives teams that aren't so great a chance to actually compete with the bigger teams because the bigger teams don't have time to dial in their setups. And so the smaller teams they're doing the same handicap, but somehow they do good with it. And Danny Rick was the example of that, keeping a Ferrari and behind him. That was pretty impressive to me.
So, okay, I'll throw in this caveat. The one thing about sprints that could possibly be just a tiny saving grace is because the race is so small or so short and you're not really pitting during the race unless like weather becomes crazy. You have to pass on track. Your positions are gained on track, unless, of course, there's like a safety car and people are like, okay, let's try this strategy out. So, yes, shouts out to Danny Rick for keeping signs behind him. Obviously, there was a point where, oh, shoot, a podium's on, and like Checo Pérez and Adrian Newey's rocket ship looked like, oh, yeah, he's going to do it, whatever. I still hate sprint races. I don't care. Anyways, but he did good. All right. So Miami GP, Lando Norris gets his first win. I will say this. As races go, I think I'm with y'all. It was actually a pretty exciting race. The interesting thing for me was that I feel like Max maybe had been complaining about his setup all weekend. He got a great start. Obviously, the thing that was surprising for me was Piastri in a non-upgraded McLaren. Was able to pass Leclerc, right?
Yeah.
But even more interesting to me was that Verstappen wasn't really able to open up a gap on Piastri. So he never got more than, I think it was like 3.5 seconds ahead was like the
3.5. Yeah.
On that. So to me, I was like, that was great. Obviously, like the terrorism that happened with Logan Sargeant, which by the way, I've seen enough. Logan Sargeant, it's time.
I think he knows it's time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not. And I think what F1 doesn't realize about Americans, and at least non-American F1 fans don't realize about Americans, is that we love to back a winner. All right. So just because you are an American does not mean you will get. Now, if Logan Sargeant was out there and he was like putting up work and you're like, man, if he was in a different team, he'd be great.
Challenging Alex Albon.
So anyway, Yeah, exactly.
If he had come in had the same rookie year that Piastri had, that's a different story.
Yeah, but
he's from Fort Lauderdale, dog. Like that's right there.
I know that. Yeah,
I will.
That's his home race yesterday.
Can I say that I hate that they say that? Like that's another thing. I think a lot of people don't realize how big like America is. Like they're saying like all the U.S. races are Logan Sargent's home races. Like no, it's not, dog. Like
and you're like what?
Just the one.
We're in Vegas.
The one in Miami.
Yeah, I feel like
home country.
Yeah, like the hometown boy. He's not from Texas. He's not from Vegas. Anyways, all right. So before I get too far on the race, the race. Yeah, let's talk about that. How was that for y'all? And I think we're both happy that Max Verstappen didn't win. This is, by the way, the moment in time where I said, shouts out to Red Bull for always doing what they do. And if you want to beat them, you should beat them. Anyways, all right. So impressions of that GP.
I just want to thank Checo Pérez for masking the terrible start that Charles had, and then with some kind of Mexican sorcery, avoiding hitting his teammate by way too little, and then forcing Carlos to take evasive action, and then Charles is like, You're going to give me second place back? I'll take it. I was blown away. So shout out
Crazy.
to Checo Pérez for that solid
Listen,
for Charles.
If El Viejo Sabroso had taken out Max Verstappen T1, Helmut Marko would have sent him back to South America. Yeah, I know I said South America before the end of the race. He would have been
gosh.
like, "Get him out of there." By the way,
They would have stopped the car in a pit stop and said, "Get out of the car."
All right, hey, get out of the car.
Yeah, fully.
Get out of the car.
All right. So, Leighanie, as you're watching live, how was that? Like, you're watching that race, and I've never been to an F1 race because not yet. Anyways, so as you're watching that live, what was the crowd's reaction to that start and Checo almost assassinating his teammate and getting sent back to Mexico, which I know it's not in South America. Everybody, it's a joke. Relax.
Crowd was good, and one thing about Florida, but Miami fans, you know how you said Americans love to back a winner? Miami fans are the most, as a girl from Miami, are the most wish-washy people.
Fair weather.
Ever.
Fair weather fans.
Fair weathered is the term.
Whoa. I thought
for the most part.
I will never forgive Miami fans for Ray Allen in Game 6. I'll never forgive Miami fans for that.
Never forgive. Never forget.
Never forget.
Okay, so Leighanie, you're saying that. So
in a nutshell.
So Leighanie, you're saying okay. However, go ahead.
However, the fans showed up and showed out for real, and I don't know if it's the Miami Heat had people just feeling the vibe, but I thought the crowd was really good, and it's not just for their people, but for everyone. Even towards the end of the race, when Lando was leading the last however many laps, we were at lap 15, and every time he came around a grandstand, people were standing up, losing their minds. They were behind it every sense of the way. Turn 1, excellent. Every time, every safety car we got, everything. The crowd was in it fully. There was not an empty seat, to be quite honest with you.
Now, do you think that the crowd was hype? This is a question to ask. The last time Didier was on was when Carlos won. So let me ask you the same question now. Do you think the crowd was cheering because it was an exciting race, Lando Norris was in the lead, or it was because Max Verstappen was not in the lead of the race?
A combo for sure. But a combo because a lot of no hate to Red Bull. I do not hate Red Bull as a team. I don't F with Helmut Marko at all.
I'm with that.
I'm not a fan of
Christian Horner.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a guy at the race who said he had a T-shirt that said, what did he say? I'm an excellent Christian, or like I'm a good Christian. In the back it said Horner hater, and it had his face on it. It's hilarious. It's so funny.
Shouts
out to whoever's making money off of that. By the way,
incredible.
I applaud that the entrepreneurial spirit.
Listen. When the text came out, I got the texts, and so yeah, Christian is a weird man. He's a weird man.
Yeah. So no,
just the vibes there rancid. All of that being said, fair weather fans, a lot of Miami fans are Red Bull fans, and that's, I think, new fans I think are gonna be Red Bull fans in the same way that during Mercedes dominance, a lot of people were Mercedes fans, and during Ferrari dominance, a lot of people were Ferrari fans, and that's right, the name of the game.
It is cyclical.
That's fine.
I will say, not a caveat. Right. But Red Bull is surgical in the way they do their pit stops, in the way they do their strategy. Like Hannah Schmidt, that would be whoever gets her on a team. That is the steal of a deal. Right. So they are a well-oiled machine. My hate for Red Bull, actually, it's not even Verstappen, to be honest, because he's just a kid.
No, I also don't. I like
and
Verstappen.
Also, like, if
I think he's fine.
Yeah. It's whatever to me. Right.
Yeah.
It's Doctor Muerte. And Christian Horny, right? Like all the
those
above.
Vibes rancid from the top. You feel that.
And so, okay, what was the feeling for both of y'all? And what was the feeling when that first safety car came out? So, like, for me, I thought, okay, Max just pitted. Lando Norris is in the lead. Great been here before, and I thought for sure, like Max, I think at the time came in 6th place. He was gonna make his way back up towards the field, and like we'd seen it before, right? Like, but then like that safety car was so clutch for Lando, right? And so my question, I guess, what were y'all feeling when that?
I told George, a friend of ours, I don't know if you know him, Emmy, but I told George, I was like, George, you need to hang your hat on the fact that Lando Norris beat the most aggressive form of Max Verstappen, which is Max Verstappen on a restart.
Correct.
When Max Verstappen is in a restart, Max Verstappen has a sixth sense of where the grip is on the track. So there's that. Number two, he's going to pull his car alongside you and be like, I'm going to get you. Like, go, because I'm going to get you.
In his rocket. It's a rocket.
Yeah, it's a rocket, right?
Yeah.
And that first lap after a safety car period, that is Max Verstappen kingdom, okay? And Lando not only like held his own, he was never attacked because Max couldn't even get at him. That was to me the most impressive thing about that restart was just, first of all, I'm gonna go back just for a little bit. Yeah, Logan Sargeant, da-da-da-da-da-da. But that was on Kevin Magnussen. That is
again the terrorist.
Okay, like I'm sorry. Worst guy to do it too as well because Logan has he's beleagued by like everything. But like, yo, Kevin, like slow down. But anyway, back to the restart. Yeah, seeing Lando doing that to what I said, like I said, the most aggressive version of Max Verstappen, which is him following on a restart.
Well,
impressive.
So
insane.
it was.
Go ahead. Say your thought.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Finish it.
I was gonna say I was sitting at turn 18, which is right where the restart, where the safety car right in the pit lane.
And
so we saw that restart, and truly I get goosebumps talking about it because the crowd. I mean, there's no feeling like that. Like everyone's up at the top of their lungs. That energy is crazy. And then watching them. Well, and you know what you're expecting, and for that result to come out of it is.
I will say it was a bad restart by Lando too. So that was the other thing that
it was.
But the thing is, in front of Max, everyone's restart is a bad restart because Max just makes you look like an idiot.
True.
It's amazing.
So okay, so then let me ask two questions then about Max. One, he hit a cone or a bollard for those who speak English on the other side of the Atlantic. And supposedly because he jumped the curb, he had gotten some damage on the floor. Now, Verstappen, again, to his credit, said, nope, that car didn't feel any different before or after I hit the curb. And honestly, shouts out to him for like, he was really trying to take all the excuses out of it and really trying to say, no.
He's no BS.
Yeah, Lando won this on merit, right? And so that's what I'm saying, like, whatever. It's like I hate Michael Jordan, but I can respect that he was really great. And that's not, if you talk to anyone from Indiana, they feel the same. Anyways, and so I thought it was a bad restart from Lando. But again, I'm asking the question to you both about was it McLaren upgrades or was it the damage? Because Horner did confirm after the race that there was some damage to the underside of that car. I'm just saying and if you see a replay, slow mo, super zoomed in, you saw something.
Of the floor.
So was it McLaren's upgrades?
I mean, or the floor. Like, is it Max not being at his best, like being able to drive at his best, and so
or maybe he's just gotten soft because he's been at the front of the freaking pack for the last 2 years. Think about like what was it that Alonso said about Lewis Hamilton last year or 2 years ago whenever he like wrecked. I think it was like this guy doesn't know how to not be in the front, how to drive when he's not.
I remember.
And so that's my question, like
when he's not in the
Alonso is a known documented Lewis hater. Anyway, so I guess what do y'all think? That back to my question, was that McLaren or was that the damage to the floor?
I think it was a combo. One, I don't think it's always fair to say, well, obviously Max wasn't in full form or his car wasn't in full form, because in the nature of F1, sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes shit doesn't work out, and that's how people win races, or lose them. So I think it's also important to observe pace, like all weekend,
was weird.
it was off. So he was off all weekend. It wasn't just race day or the race. Yeah. It was weird all weekend. It's just he's so far ahead of everybody else that even when he's a little off, he's still getting P1 and saying LOL.
That was so gangster,
he's like,
by the
he's
way.
Like, no, he's like Tyreek Hill running past people like this.
He said,
yeah.
He was like, "See y'all in Imola. I'm out."
Yeah.
No.
I will say,
so
I will
Didi,
say,
car or upgrade? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, car or upgrade. I think.
No, go ahead.
I think it's kind of like Singapore, where you see a weakness, you say, okay, we're going to throw all of our chips into this one. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, McLaren worked that out, that this was going to be a situation before the race, because that update was actually supposed to go to Imola to fight with Ferrari's update. But then they smelled a chance where their car could be in an optimal situation, potentially, if all the upgrades worked like they hoped they would. Plus, if Max is going to have a struggle, a slight struggle, this is the window that we throw the knife in. And I think it was, look, like Leighanie said, like, Max's, and I'm going to vomit saying this, but Max's performances are so peerless that, like, even him slightly being off his best is just like, oh my gosh, panic bells, people, it's happening, you know? And so I think McLaren was very, very opportunist to just pounce at the situation when they needed to. And Red Bull, Max had the pace to win the race if the safety car hadn't happened. Let's get that out there. Maybe Lando could have caught him, but catching Max Verstappen is not the same as passing Max Verstappen.
I think he could have caught him.
Oh, I agree. I think he could have. He could have caught him on pace, but not past him, because Max is. Well, we've seen Max.
So, sure. We've seen Max. So let me say that.
We've seen that car.
Well, let me say that past tense. Max Verstappen hasn't had to be an assassin for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
No one has really been battling him. And even when people are side by side or he starts all the way in ninth, the car has been so quick that it's like, see ya.
George had to put a hole in his car last year.
Now, I will make a point. Well, you do what you got to do. All right. Okay. And is it really terrorism if a British person does it? Anyways. And so my question or my statement here is like, y'all have been talking about the RB20, and we can argue that the RB20 is a rocket ship. However, can we all agree that it is who is driving the RB20 that makes the difference? Because is Checo Pérez not also driving the RB20? 100%. And was Checo Pérez not fighting with Lewis Hamilton for that position? Yeah. Lewis Hamilton is driving in a car that's somehow worse than the W13 and W14.
I have to give Max Verstappen his flowers. Like, he does maximize what is given to him in a way that is not normal.
Exactly.
Checo Pérez is in a place where he's in a hell, because like he wants to stay in F1, but he gets reminded every single weekend why he'll never win a championship. And so it's tough, but I'm going to give props to Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. Lewis Hamilton, after that restart, did, I don't know, like, was it 25 qualifying laps? Because you could hear it. Yep. Lewis Hamilton is not out of breath every time he's on the radio. I mean, he breathes on the radio. Bono, my tires are gone. Sure. Okay. But he sounded like, he sounded like Charles at China when the radio stayed on. Like, he sounded like he was doing everything he could to stay with Checo. So I gotta give Lewis his props as well. Like, to stay within DRS of a Red Bull, any Red Bull, in that tractor?
Yeah.
Again, car is generous when you're talking about the W15. So were any of y'all nervous when? All right. So towards the end of the race, you kind of see it. Lando had opened up a decent gap. I think it was like at 5, maybe 7 seconds at the point. And then I think Piastri was fighting with Alex Albon for the non-points position. And I was like, I know there's not about to be a safety car right now.
And they had to come on the radio and say, hey, reminder.
Chill out.
Your
Cálmate.
teammate is
Oye,
leading the race. Let's maybe
cálmate o te calmo.
Cálmate.
Cálmate o te
Yeah,
calmo.
right.
O te calmo.
In my mind, I just kept
So-
thinking, like, dog, there are no points for this.
Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Don't screw this
dummy?
up.
I
No,
would be
yeah, I
furious.
was shitting bricks.
If I was Oscar Piastri, I'd be furious. Because that was just Carlos not liking. Because Carlos was just angry.
Yeah, we haven't even
Carlos
talked about
was
that.
angry. And you could tell, like, he didn't give him the penalty. Okay, I'm going to take it into my own hands. And the thing is, he made it look semi-clean. He didn't take him off the track. I'm looking at you, Max, in 2021 in Brazil. He didn't take him off the track. He didn't. He left out the space, you know, but he did make contact slightly, losing control of the back a little bit. And so if I was Piastri, I'd be furious. I'd be like, man, look, they didn't give you the position, so you dive bombed me. I lost my wing. You ruined my race. I'm angry now. And also, basically a test.
After having a good race up to that point, excellent race up to that point.
Yep. But I will say that I think your boy Carlos has some serious beef with Oscar Piastri going back to Austria from last year, right? Where he was like, what was it? He basically said Piastri didn't have experience. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing what it was. And so for me, like, there was at least two incidents with Piastri and Sainz, and Piastri is like, he's such a kid. He's so sarcastic that it's like, it doesn't matter. Sainz is so pressed and so heated, and Piastri in the most monotone voice is like, okay.
He might as well be from Finland.
Crazy.
Like, seriously, he might as well be from Finland. He might as well be Kimi Räikkönen. Because, like, monosyllabic, monotone, just whatever. I'm just going to race the car as fast as I can. You're like, okay, bro. Like, and just show some love.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
And so, I guess for me, I think I was more, and I think as a racer, or as a driver, if you are worth your salt, that competitive spirit is never turned off, right? So again, like, he was obviously fighting for points, but in my mind, I was like, knowing Lando's luck is about to be like Sochi 2021.
Just Sochi,
and
like,
somehow something's gonna happen. There's gonna be another safety car. The gap is gonna close, and then he's gonna lose with like 5 laps left.
And then Albon locks up.
Yeah.
I don't know, something.
And that's like what, 2 laps left?
Yeah. Something about Williams. Something about Williams and their ability to somehow mess it up for people.
Races
all right,
from the back. Okay, it's ridiculous.
All right,
back, man.
All right. No. Okay. So it wasn't just me. Where both of y'all just kind of like, oh my goodness, like.
The thing is, as a Tifosi, like, let Lando leave. I had my eyes glued on the gap, the interval between Max and Charles. Like, I could not take I was like, if Max
it was closing up.
It was, bro, when it was hovering at 2 seconds, I'm like, this is good. I don't know how much to believe this. Is Charles going to try something? I know he didn't have enough at the end, but like, that's where my mind was. But yeah, to see people like, Albon was never going to make that corner, like, at all. So just to see him like do that was just ridiculous. But yeah.
I saw Albon do that, and immediately I was like, I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man. Like, like, relax. No, okay. So for me, I will say, and y'all tell me again, like, Didi, in the past, I said, like, I am cautiously optimistic about Ferrari, and as a future Ferrari fan myself, starting in 2025, I said what I said.
Start date.
December 2024, actually. December 2024. Whatever. I don't care. No.
Yeah.
It looks good for Ferrari because they don't have upgrades yet. They don't have those upgrades, and I feel like that car is actually really good.
How fitting would it be?
I don't even want to.
I want a Ferrari P1 in Imola.
In Imola.
Yeah, 100%. I want a Ferrari P1 in Imola.
How fitting would that be? I think honestly, I think we have a chance. With the problem with Imola is that there's really just one DRS zone. It's the front straight, and it has the kind of corners that, depending on the weather, we can kind of excel at. I honestly tuned into the Miami Grand Prix thinking Ferrari had a chance because of the heat. We're known
Same.
for being nicer
Yeah.
to our tires
No
this
tire
year,
day.
and I thought
Yep.
let's go for it.
Mhm.
So depending on the weather in Imola, I don't know. Imola could be colder than usual, and that'll definitely benefit the other cars because then our advantage is kind of
Sure.
gone.
Not Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but you
can we talk
okay,
about
but you
something
still
though?
got those.
I'm sorry to bring it back to the Miami Grand Prix, but have we noticed that?
Oh, that they were talking about reviewing. No, you're
That's
good.
the, you know, the whole
Have
topic
we
of this
have
episode.
we noticed that Alpine is pulling a McLaren from last year? Just quietly,
First of all,
like
yes,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
but only one of
Yeah.
those Alpine drivers, though.
well, here's the
Esteban.
thing. Here's the thing. Are you a Gasly hater?
No, I'm not a
I mean,
Gasly hater. I'm
okay.
just like accept that. I do think Pierre Gasly needs to accept that he's balding and go to Turkey instead of doing like that swoop thing that he's doing.
Yes!
But I digress. I digress. But I'm not a hater. I'm just someone who pays attention.
You're like, dog,
Yeah, come
what are
on,
you
dog.
doing?
He does. He does. He does.
And the thing is, like, okay, I'm not gonna
Because
go into it, but
hey,
like,
man,
very French.
even Lewis went to Turkey to fix that.
yeah,
Anyways,
bro.
so I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater of Gasly. But
Alpine's performance. First of all, that first lap between him and I was like, this is shades of Ocon and Perez at Baku 2018.
Oh my god.
That joint was wild. I was like, this is
Yeah.
going to end up in a crash. But it didn't. And I was really impressed.
It
Like,
didn't.
getting the car
Yeah, it didn't.
underweight
But it
or
didn't.
two weight, like a boxer before a prize fight.
Two
like,
weight, yeah.
It's impressive. Like, getting the car right and turning the season around when everyone was clowning on them. Everyone being last at Bahrain.
Hardcore.
The memes, the Alpine memes. Like I saw a meme that said, "Adrian Newey is learning French to tell Alpine no." I laughed. Okay, I laughed.
No, that's a good one. No, that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so to see them, first of all, I watched the F1 TV, coverage, and Will Buxton completely missed the team principal of Alpine, like 3 times. Walked by him, the guy's standing there proud, like, look at what we have done, we are coming back. And he just walked by him like 3 times, like, yeah, I don't know who you are.
Uninterested.
But no, Alpine's performance was pretty interesting. Esteban Ocon knew what he had and didn't have, and I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
Got their first point. Yeah, got their first
Yeah.
point. All right, so
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Back to the race real quick. When Lando won eventually, right? Feeling overall for y'all, I guess, Leighanie, you were there. The crowd goes wild. I'm assuming. Take the crowd out of it. Yourself, again, I go back to that original question. Were you happy that Lando won? Or was it more?
No, I'm happy. I'm a Tifosi, obviously, so I'm a Ferrari fan, but
Obviously.
I like McLaren. I appreciate this new age of McLaren. I think I like what they do. I like how they're involved. I like where they're going. I like Lando Norris as some of the younger drivers. And I think one thing that I think people forget and was maybe made more apparent after he won and people posted more, but we forget that he is of this like younger generation of drivers, right? They all grew up together and they're all friends. And so they're all happy for each other. And I think that was really nice to see. I like Lando. I think I think he's an excellent driver. I think Lewis at one time saying such a good driver, Lando is a fact. He's a good driver. Is he 22, 23 years old and a bit of a dick? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he can be.
Yes.
He's the most sarcastic.
It truly is.
He
Truly
is. He's sarcastic. He's fresh. He's British. All of those combined. I understand how he just rubs some people the wrong way. I like
so for me, look, I was happy. I will tell you this. I was happy McLaren won because that's admittedly I like McLaren because I really like Zach Brown. Don't ask me why, but I really like Zach Brown. Like real Midwest dad energy.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Brought that team, got all those sponsors, right? I love Zach Brown, love Piastri, and Lando I think is skilled, but the thing that kind of gets me about Lando, again, it's just like the backhanded compliment. So again, Leighanie, you said Lewis really supportive of him, and I think that Lewis Hamilton fans sometimes get more upset about stuff than he actually, like Lewis Hamilton himself
Yeah.
doesn't really care
Facts.
one way or the other,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
But Lando really does
Facts.
give you like that, like backhanded compliments, like I was telling y'all, like I really like, man, that those pants, that outfit looks really great on you. I wish I had the courage to do. And it's like, did you just compliment me, or like, anyways?
Or did you
Lando-
just insult
But
me?
I was
reminds me of the
legitimately,
kind of-
this race was different.
He reminds me of the kind of person that, like, when Lewis is in the room, he's like, Lewis, you're the best. And the second Lewis walks out, he's like, no, he's not. Like, that kind of a thing. And, like, he's always had that vibe to me. And I hate it because you respect your elders, especially El Chivo. But, like, I don't know. When he crossed the finish line, I felt good for him. It wasn't
I
like,
did.
like if that had been Hulkenberg, I would have been crying. Like, if that was Nico
I think a lot of
Hulkenberg
people would have.
winning a race, I would have been like,
Get out of here.
no, here's the thing.
No.
Nico Hulkenberg has the horrible distinction of having the most race starts and the most races without a podium.
Yeah,
I
Not a win.
I know.
And so, like,
Without
but for Lando, like
Yeah.
George said, it wasn't a matter of if, but when. And so I felt good for him. It wasn't like earth shattering for me as a Tifosi. My first enemy for, antiquity, 1997, was McLaren. Is McLaren, will always be McLaren. So yeah, it felt good. But like you said, I mean,
it is hard being Tifosi and also rooting for them.
Yeah, and seeing Zach Brown, I don't like Americans entering F1. Typically, it's not my thing.
What?
I don't care. Americans,
what?
Leave F1 British.
You're an F1 purist.
I'm a purist. I'm sorry, but seeing Zach Brown integrate himself into McLaren and then bring that team forward and seeing who he's hired, who has left. Andrea Seidel went to form a new team, and he still has the ability to continue progressing and continue achieving what he's doing. That's amazing for me, and I have all the utmost respect for Zach Brown, especially because he lives there. Like, he doesn't have to stay in the States. He stays in England doing his thing. I respect that, man.
I mean, I would stay in England too. But what I was going to say, the Americans in F1 is inevitable. Andretti is coming. They are coming. 2026.
Correct. Dan, I mean,
I'm more talking about Haas. Everybody's like, Haas, they're American. You have to love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah, not me. I'm good. Miss me with that. No, but I would say, okay, so as Tifosi, here's actually another thing which I know both of y'all are paying attention to. Lando Norris winning and Verstappen P2 puts Charles Leclerc that much closer to Max Verstappen. Now, the car, maybe because of the setup, maybe because of whatever, like, keep in mind, Red Bull brought their upgrades in Suzuka, and other teams have started responding to those upgrades. But this year, it feels like, first of all, Checo Pérez is going to get passed for P2. All right. So, like, whatever. Yeah. So I feel like you're one Verstappen DNF and a Charles Leclerc continuing to perform at a consistent pace of having like an actual time. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I am cautiously optimistic, but again, if Ferrari's upgrades are cooked or cooking and Carlos Sainz realizes like, hey bro, you got a job, relax, let Charles Leclerc win. Not that he would need it, but anyway, so that's the thing. Lando Norris, like, I was happy for him. I was happy for him to win, but for me, like, I'm thinking like further in like the constructors championship, but more or less the drivers championship. Like, okay, Verstappen isn't running away with this like 6 races in, like
he had,
I mean, the DNF in Australia didn't help, obviously, but sure, whatever. All right. All that aside, the one thing that I want to talk about, Adrian Newey, and I'm not going to go in depth with Adrian Newey. Adrian Newey, obviously, we got the confirmation he is in fact leaving Red Bull. And by the way, I would like to say how quickly everybody in the Red Bull camp was like, well, I mean, his impact actually wasn't that much. Like he's not really
Hilarious.
doing it. And I'm like, are y'all so
Like trying to
Y'all are-
downplay Adrian Newey's hand in
y'all
your
some
success
haters, dog?
I'm not hurt. I
and your
swear I'm
dominance.
not
Come
hurt.
on, dude.
I'm not hurt. Yeah.
But so is Newey going to Ferrari? Is Newey going to Ferrari?
That's a good question.
Cautious optimism. It's tough to tell. I do think because he's leaving after this.
Yeah.
Season?
His gardening leave. No, his gardening
He's
leave
retired.
started now, so he can join a team next year if he wanted to.
Okay, so he's done. I think he did say he wants to rest. Will he actually? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he will. I think maybe he'll take a year off, come back in 2026.
That's fair.
Or
the one thing that I'll say that both of you can talk to is Ferrari is a team where no one is bigger than the team. So if Newey goes to Ferrari, is he going to have the same amount of control or input as he has had with Red Bull or with McLaren or with like, you understand what I'm saying? Like it seems like it's going to be great. And like Elkan's been doing the most, and one of the Ferrari family members was there as well this weekend in Miami. Yeah. And oh man, I love Fred. And so like, that's my question. Like, we know that Ferrari and he can bring great, because it's not money for Newey at this point, but like, will he get the same creative freedom in Ferrari as he's had in other teams?
I think. I mean, hard to tell. Well, obviously, we're not actually in that, so hard to tell. I think there's something to be said about the fact that he says his one regret was not working with Ferrari. So I think it's, and I know that's for a lot of people, it's the same thing that Lewis has always said, that he wanted to race for Ferrari. I think there's a lot of respect there between the two, between the team and Adrian Newey. And he's been in it for a long time, so it's not like they're strangers. We forget how interconnected I think all of these people are. So my hope is that in the event that he does go to Ferrari, that it would be collaborative and not. I know Ferrari is known for being a lot of times to a fault, very in their own way, by the Ferrari book, if you will. But I'm hopefully optimistic.
I will say the template for Ferrari dominance, okay, the years from 2000 to 2004 is a French team principal and a British technical director. Jean Todt, the former president of the FIA, was our team principal, and Ross Brawn, the guy who basically pioneered this iteration of cars, was the technical director. Just legendary partnership between him, Jean Todt, which was our team principal, and Michael Schumacher. So I say, if Adrian Newey has something to do with coming over to Ferrari, he's not going to take a role of like hands off. Let's see what happens. If his legacy is going to be pinned on something with Ferrari, he's going to take the helm. I think Charles and Max Verstappen have similar driving styles, so it's going to be interesting to see how Charles adapts to a different, evolution of cars. I don't think Adrian would have much say in the 2025 car. I think everything would be put towards 2026, kind of like Mercedes said they were doing
everything
in 2022. And so I will say, but there's a dark horse here. There's a dark horse here that we're not talking about.
Williams.
And I know you've probably heard it, is Williams. Yes, because there is there's a storyline here. There is like there's a plot here. This is where he started. If they offered him ownership, and with the gravity that he has in F1 to bring sponsorships and money because he builds winning cars, I think Williams could be something. I think Ferrari would definitely say, here's the keys. do whatever the
Oh,
because
right. Yeah.
you are the
Yeah.
man and we're not.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see him saying, you know what, I want to bring Williams back from anonymity. I believe in that project, and we'll go from there. So I don't know. I like the idea of him staying in F1. I don't want him to go and say,
Mm.
I'm going to go build boats. See y'all. Like, that sucks to me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, nice. Balloons. Love that.
Balloons.
Oh,
No, what,
balloons.
all right. So far I know that Aston Martin is out in the running to get Adrian Newey, right? Obviously, Papi Stroll
Right.
can literally give him an island if he wants one, but there's so much uncertainty, right? Like, is Lance staying, right? Is Alonso staying past his contract, right? Okay, so they're out. Mercedes is
Mm-hmm.
out because apparently he doesn't have a high opinion of Airwolf, which makes sense, right? I did hear
Mm-hmm.
about the Williams dark horse. I do feel like Ferrari, it feels like it's a good legacy builder. So we can all agree, like, money, he's got it. Caliber
Yeah.
and pedigree,
Yeah.
like, he's got it. But to bring glory back to Maranello, potentially help either Charles Leclerc get his first World Driver Championship or Lewis Hamilton get his eighth. Like, I feel like if, and Adrian, I don't know, because I literally don't know the man personally, so I don't know if his ego is like, right? But there's undoubtedly cement. He's already cemented it, but like, they'd have to build statues for him at this point if he goes to Ferrari, brings them back, not from the depths, because they're not terrible this year, and they weren't
No.
even like horrible like 2 years ago. Right?
Nah, but it's been a climb.
So yeah, but also I feel like Fred Vasseur, like, I know I literally said it, that guy, like, it feels like it would be really great to work with Fred Vasseur. And then Charles and even Lewis, it feels like it's a good recipe. The only thing, like, I feel like it would be a lot of pressure, which he could probably handle it for all of them to win
Sure.
and bring glory. And it's like, yes, here's a Miami joke. It's like when LeBron and Chris Bosh went to South Beach to
Yeah.
join D Wade.
That's
Right. If you don't
that's the
watch
theme.
basketball, go
Yeah.
to Wikipedia. Yeah. So for me, it was a big move, but I guess talking not necessarily where he's going, but the reason he left, right? And I think Jos Verstappen kind of called it. He said, "Hey, all this stuff with Horner is really causing disunity in the team. The team's going to be breaking apart." And originally, I thought it was like, yeah, it's because Helmut Marko's catching strays left and right. Apparently, the victim of Horner was also PA, a personal assistant for Adrian Newey. So that's one. Two, they wouldn't let Amanda Newey, Newey's wife, come to one of those GPs. Then in front of Newey's wife, Horner is saying, like, it's actually, our team's not great because of Adrian Newey and his contributions. Like, we're just great, full stop. Right. So it's like, again, this is like farandula. It's all gossip mags that are saying this, so I don't know. But it feels like at least Jos, for all his faults, which are many, is on the right track of, like, yeah, Horner is the reason this is happening. Blah, 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 this, that, and the third. So I don't know if he might just retire and go build boats because this has been such a chaotic year that he's like, I'm good.
I'm literally building the fastest cars we've ever seen in F1, and you guys want to implode based off of your texts, and then this guy
Right.
wants this, and then that guy, like,
Right.
can we just be a team? Okay, I'm Audi 5000. And the thing is, I don't blame him, but at the same time, there were some signs too, like,
Yeah.
I saw some unsubstantiated rumors saying that Red Bull has kind of run out of a way to kind of drastically improve the current car because of the design philosophy they went down. Again, farandula, like you said earlier. But, like, if that's true, like, and Newey leaving, and again, Christian Horner said something that had a truth and a lie. He's right. The car isn't fast because of Adrian Newey. The car is fast because they have a team that is optimized to not only build a fast car, but make good strategy calls, fast pit stops. And there's a design team that is underneath Newey that believes in his philosophy, that knows what he wants, and can actually. Dan Fallows left Red Bull to go to Aston Martin, and he kind of took with him some design principles, 101 from Southern, to Aston Martin. And so, like, I don't see it as just like this only thing or as Adrian. So in that case, I see that Christian is right. But the continued capacity for being extremely competitive despite any rule change, that is Adrian Newey's legacy. Every single time that he builds a car with his team, it's a fast car, and the only time it's been let down is because of the engine with Renault. And as I'm sure you guys remember that, 2018, 2017, that car probably would have won championships if the Renault engine wasn't behind it. And so, I don't really, again, truth and a lie. That's Christian Horner. That's why I can't stand the sight of him.
Yeah, but also like Adrian Newey is doing that with a pencil and a red notebook. This guy is sketching and creating master. I would love, but also he probably looked at the, aside from him not respecting the TP of Mercedes, he probably looked at the W15 and was like, yeah, I can't save her. I'm good. But
he looked at the W13 and was like, I can make it better.
Yeah. So
I could fix that.
So everybody's on Newey watch. I'm really hoping that he does go to Ferrari for very selfish reasons. All of us have an invested stake in that. You for the legacy of your team, and me for the legacy of the driver I choose to follow, and also because hey, we're all going to be cheering for the same half of the same squad next year. It's December 2024. I said what I said. You call me fair weather if you want. I don't care. All right. So wrapping it up here really quickly. Final thoughts on the race before we get to the last section. Thumbs up, thumbs down, exciting, yay for Lando.
Thumbs up. Very happy for the spectacle. Happy that it happened in Miami because Miami doesn't throw up the best races. But this was an awesome race for Miami. It had vibes. It felt like it's going to propagate the audience in Miami to be like, yo, this might be something that's actually pretty good. And yeah, it can only be, like Leighanie said, like an hour and 6 minutes ago, it can only get better. It can only get better. And we're on a third year. Let's keep it going.
I say the same. Let's keep these good vibes going. I enjoyed it. I'm biased, but I enjoyed it very much, and it leaves me really hopeful for the future of the Miami GP.
Okay, I would add to that. The one caveat that I would make is that I just hope that in the future, and Leighanie, you can actually speak on this specifically. I do hope that they make it more accessible to non-influencers. That is a pretty expensive rate. It is literally cheaper, which is why I'm doing it. It's literally cheaper for me to fly to another country and watch a race and then go to the Miami GP. And I live in this country, so I guess Leighanie, I think you can speak on that specifically. Like, do you feel like, because
I can. Again, this is the first time I've attended, and this was like a specific Mother's Day. My mom really wanted to go. She's also a big
shout out to her.
So, and she was like, and I want to see. She's been and she's done what is the Miami equivalent of GA, which is what they call campus passes, and that's the more economical option, if you will. The only difference is GA in Miami, there's no designated seating area. They have upgraded that a little bit. They've got these kind of like raised or elevated platforms that people can like stake out at. They've got a few, which I saw walking the campus, and I was like, this is really different. I think this is really cool, kind of by start finish and a couple of turns, which is cool. It's expensive, and that is another facet of Miami. I think that is difficult. Miami is very showy, very, very big money, very new money, if you will.
But can you, while I still got you, can you clear something up for me? Somebody sent me a picture.
I got you.
Bites, so you could get chilled Maine lobster rolls.
That blew my mind.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was that? Is that really?
I'll clear the air. I'll clear the air on this. That is group food. That is not a single lobster
so context.
Roll. It is a group, like you're in a cabana and it comes.
I mean, that's still
food, and so
that's still a lot. Yeah, that's
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes, but it is not for a single. even I saw that the first time. I was like, "What the?" And then I
Because you would
looked
have
into it.
had
It's
me go to the 7-Eleven in Hialeah somewhere, get some cafecitos and some
100%,
pan tostados, and put them in my
100%.
pockets, and
Yeah,
just walked
yeah.
in like I can make
No,
do.
no. That is like a cabana. One that's already an elevated dining experience,
Sure.
if you will, and two, that's a group
Sure.
thing. It is not
Now, I
a
will say
single
I
house
take
girl
it. I take it all
for that.
back if somehow this podcast blows up and they invite me to go to the Miami GP. Then I'll just invite y'all, and I
She's like,
I
I
do
would love
not
to go
care
personally.
how much everything's.
It's cheap.
So F1, if you're watching this, I take it all back. I take it all back. I
So I
take
would
it
love
all
to
back
go.
if you invite me. Okay, but Leonie, you go again though. You would take your mom. You would pay the money to go. All right.
100%. I hope it's tough. And I was walking out. My younger brother also went with me, and we were walking out, and I was like, I've been now 3 times, or like I've attended once fully, but I've worked it 2 times. I was like, I only went Sunday, and the amount of FOMO that I had from not being there, even just the other
Mm,
2 days, which is such a ridiculous thing to say, right? It's a ridiculous thing to say because the fact that I even got to go on
hey.
Sunday or work the race 2 years before is crazy. I'm like, it's tough to imagine a time where this feels, for me, I'm from Miami, it's accessible for me not to go every year now.
Mm.
Because now it's one of those things. Once you go to your
I
first,
mean, shouts
you're
out to
wanting to
y'all.
go
I'm
again.
putting this on the calendar. Meet up in Austin, Texas. That
Yo,
is a good track.
that is a good track.
Let's do it.
All right. So it is. With that being
Hmm.
said, now we come to the part that's hilarious to me. And Didi, let's see if this time you've got some solid ones. But since you're first time on the show, Leonie, this is the part where we ask guests, who was your Pariguayo worst performance of the race, and who was your
Hmm.
Matatan
Hmm.
best performance of the race? And it's your first time here, ladies first. So who's your Pariguayo?
Um, tough. My Pariguayo. Hmm. I should have actually thought about this before because now I'm
All
having
right.
to think who's
All right.
actually the worst.
Think
Because there's
think
a
about
couple
that for a
mid
second. Think about
performances
that.
on
I'll come
this.
back to
I'm
you.
gonna think on
Didi,
this.
Pariguayo.
Okay.
My buddy Wayo is the obvious one. Kevin Magnussen. You're doing too much, dog. Calmate. You
Obvious
should
in what
have
I
your
am.
seat still next year. This is not sober. This is
It's
like
not
it's not
necessary. It's
necessary.
not
You got your
necessary.
seat.
Uh,
Calm down.
uh, okay,
I mean,
okay.
my buddy Wayo is probably Logan, and I feel bad saying that for his home race. I'm
Assassination.
sorry, my guy,
All
but
right. Why Logan? Just because you've seen enough. It's time to bring in Kimi Antonelli.
yeah, enough is enough.
Stop. He's already dead.
And I know you said, and that's scandalous because you said KMag, and I know that last bit really
Mm,
wasn't
Stop.
yeah.
his fault,
So
but
my Pariguayo is actually Pariguayos, and they hail from the same country. I'm giving it to Alonso and Sainz.
and
Alonso,
signs the
Alonso, for
Spanish.
real, loco. Loco, mírame, deja
Ah,
de inventar, loco. And you too, Carlos Sainz, because
yo,
Alonso just needs to recognize he got jumped.
he
That's all
got
right.
jumped.
The fault was not necessarily Lewis Hamilton. And then to go on a little mini rant where his nationality came into play, met with MBS about it. And then you go to Sunday and Sainz is upset, assassination attempt on Piastri,
Yeah.
and then no, get him on the radio, give me the place back. I'm
You
like,
just have to give me the
bro, relax.
position back. You just have to give me the
And
position back.
that's that's a good one. And
That's good.
listen, Tifosi, I have to be real honest with y'all. At the end of the race, Sainz really said, one more lap and we would have won it. Bro, be for real, dog. In what universe? One more
He
lap?
said,
Get
if
out
I
of
had
it.
pit 1 lap later, I would have won the race. Cálmate.
You said,
Yeah,
oh, interesting.
cálmate, bro.
So
Interesting
Pariguayos go to our former colonizers. All right.
to
And
to the
the
Spaniards.
Matatan. So reverse order. Didi, who's your Matatan?
My Matatan is the McLaren strategy team because if they had not said, Lando, we love your pace on mediums, stay out there, do your thing, and we'll see what happens. And it happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fair. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Leighanie?
My Matatan would have been Piastri had it not been for how that ended, and it's
His
not
fault,
even
yeah.
fully his
Fair.
fault. But my Matatan is
Shouts out
Lando.
Lando.
I'm
All
gonna have
right.
to
You
give it
can't.
to him.
Hey,
I'm
it's,
gonna have to.
by the
I
way,
have to give it to him.
RIP 2019, 2024, the Lando No Wins moniker. We can now put that
Right.
one to rest. My Matatan
Correct.
for the race was the Bollard. The cone.
No, Max was the Matatan.
literally Matatan. No, my Matatan was the Bollard because what
He was.
what that thing must have
Bollard.
been made of, like
Yeah.
George Russell's front
Makes
wing
sense.
because of the damage. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, for
but
real.
I'm not changing my Matatan. That is the Bollard. The Bollard,
but yeah,
the
that's
cone
valid. That's
is
valid.
my Matatan.
That's valid. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we have come to the end of the episode, and now I'm going to give a little spiel. This is it. Don't forget, if you are watching this, I'm looking at both of y'all, by the way. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, tell your mommies, your papis, your tios, your tias, your primos, your primas. Didier, Leighanie, thank you for coming. Please subscribe. Not just you two, but everybody else. For the Monoplaza F1 podcast, I'm Emi Bertre. These have been my guests. Peace.